first thing I'd love to say to everybody here is a huge welcome and thank you for taking the time to join us for the webinar today. Just before we kind of kick off and start doing the introductions, I just wanted to make everyone aware who's in the webinar or attending the webinar that there are a few tools you have at your disposal. And we'd really encourage you to use these actively throughout the session. We do want it to be as interactive as possible, and we're very open to questions. And as part of that, you'll see that in your Zoom toolbar, there's a Q&A option or tool that you can use. So if during the session there's a question that pops up or something you would like to ask, please do click the Q&A and submit your question on there. And we do have the lovely Victoria who's going to be keeping an eye on those during the webinar. And then we'll be picking up and answering hopefully all of them as best we can after we've moved through the presentation. If you do have kind of general comments as well, there's a chat box in the toolbar that you can use to post in there. And for anyone who's curious about whether we're recording the session today, we are recording the webinar. And we will have a copy of that available afterwards that you can watch offline. So if you want to share with colleagues, maybe rewatch yourself, please do reach out to us after, and I'm sure we'll be sharing that as a follow-up as well. So first things first, it makes a lot of sense to introduce ourselves and kind of who we are. We've got a selection of the Unibuddy team on the webinar today, as well as some lovely guest speakers from St. Peter's. So we're going to start with Jeff.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining in today. I'm Jeff Broom. I recognize several names on the list. It's always good to chat with you. I'm a University Partnership Manager here at Unibuddy. I have been doing this enrollment game for about 20 years, all here mostly in the Pennsylvania area and around the Philadelphia region, formerly of Widener University, Albright College, and Drexel University, but also spent some time on the high school side of the desk as a director of college counseling. If anybody's familiar with Manheim Township High School in Pennsylvania. But two large public high schools here in the suburbs of Philadelphia and Lancaster. So that's me. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. And some people on the call today may be familiar with me. My name is Amy, and I'm kind of heading up our customer success team in the USA. I don't normally have all of these weird lights on my face. I apologize if you're looking at my camera and I look like some kind of strange extraterrestrial being. I am coming into the webinar from London in the UK, so I'm a little bit further ahead in my day. But in my role within customer success, I'm essentially responsible for providing support to all of our university partners in the US, helping them get the most from the platform, helping them set up their ambassadors, select their ambassadors, and train their ambassadors, and ultimately helping them to achieve their aims and goals for using peer-to-peer. Before I joined Unibuddy, I worked in admissions in higher ed at a big London university. And I was one of the first people to ever use Unibuddy about 3.5 years ago. And I set up one of the first ever Unibuddy ambassador programs as well. So if you have any questions about the student ambassador side of things that the lovely Laura and Evelina can't answer, which I'm sure there won't be many of those, then I'm also on hand to provide some insights and some advice based on my experiences as well.
Everyone, I'm Laura Patnod. I'm an enrollment marketing specialist at St. Peter's University. So primarily my focus is on the undergrad side, and very excited to be here today. I hope everybody's doing well.
Hello everyone, my name is Evelina Francisco. I am also an enrollment marketing specialist at St. Peter's University. My primary focus are the graduate programs at the university. Welcome, and I hope you enjoy our presentation.
Again, thank you all, both Laura and Evelina, for joining us today. We were excited to hear about some of the exciting things that St. Peter's is doing to engage students. What we'll talk about today, just to give you a quick agenda, everyone, is we'll talk a little bit about why peer-to-peer is important. We'll hear from St. Peter's directly, and they'll get to share their stories and what they're seeing and how they're interacting with students. Amy's going to talk a little bit about implementing Unibuddy. I don't actually want to say implementing, I want to say onboarding Unibuddy. Implementing, as we all know in higher ed, can sometimes be a dirty word. When we think of implementation, we think of Slate, or we think of Salesforce, and it's this massive piece. So Unibuddy is not that in terms of the time it takes to get you guys live and going. And then we'll have some times for Q&A at the end. But again, we encourage you to ask questions throughout this process, and so we can answer those as they come up, and we're okay making this as conversational as we can. So I think it's important to talk a little bit about why we exist at Unibuddy. And the reason why we want to do this is because it really drives our decisions as a company in terms of product features and development, and what we see the tool as in terms of connecting with students. And really for us, it's about human interaction and human engagement. That at the core of everything that we are, we believe in shared human experiences. Think about, the first time you travel to a foreign country, or the first time you even just visit a new city. And one of the first things that we do is we go out and we ask our friends or relatives and neighbors, where should I stay? What should I go and see? What should I eat? Or we consult Yelp, right? And we do that because of shared human experiences. We want to see what other people are doing so we can be part of that journey as well. And college is no different. And the student decision journey, as part of this process, they're seeking advice from their peers because of that shared human experience. So from our side, right, from the university side, we're always looking to convert, frankly, and retain those best fit students. Students that are engaged, students who are more likely to apply, more likely to enroll. But what we also know about these students is they need reassurance about their college choice. And what we find is that students who are engaged in these types of chats, in this type of peer-to-peer engagement, is they do feel reassured about their university choice. And that, of course, correlates directly to your retention. And so when we think about best fit students, we obviously want to enroll those right fit students so our retention rate goes up. And this is a great way to make sure that that happens. And from the student side, they want to figure out what university is best for them. They don't, I don't know if they even know that, right? That, we often talk about on the high school side that there's three things that we should look at: this financial fit, this social fit, and this academic fit. And I don't know that that fully resonates with students, and because that seems very high and lofty. I think what it really comes down to is, do I fit in? Are there students that look like me there? How can I engage with students and faculty and staff that's going to be more meaningful to me? When I think about best fit university, I often think about how many colleges and choice there is in just the United States alone, let alone the world. Where I live in very rural Pennsylvania, south of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, there are 60 colleges in 60 square miles of my house, expanding down to Baltimore, up to the Reading area, over to Philadelphia, and out to Harrisburg. That's a lot of choice. That's a lot of English programs, right? So how do I know which university is the right one for me? And I think the best way to do that is let your students tell the story, to provide that reassurance to those students, and to give them a better understanding of the university that they're seeking. So this information comes to us from Ruffalo Noel Levitz, and they did a student satisfaction report and survey last summer. And what it told us is that 74% of students want to interact with current students. They want to ask questions. They want to engage with them, not just in, on campus, but in a virtual way as well. What we also know about those students is they are influenced by their peers. They are seeking advice from their peers. This is probably a far cry from most of us when we went to college, where our parents said, hey, here are the three that you can apply to. Here's what you should look at. And that's kind of what we went with. It looks completely different for the today's student. What we also know is that they're using instant messaging daily. This doesn't even account for text message. This is just all of the other apps that they have on their phone that have some sort of direct messaging tied to it. So they're doing this daily, as compared to only 6% are opening emails. And so we have to create a platform and create a way that students can interact in a way that they're comfortable, right? We can't just continue to bombard with emails. And I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know, but this is who we are at Unibuddy, that what's behind our platform and how we built it and why we built it like we did, is so that we can engage with students in a way that they're comfortable with. And so what I often think about is that, we're really good about sending students out when we are able to, sending students out on tour with other students, right? And we do that for a very specific purpose. We want them to be able to share their stories with those students. If anybody here is a disciple of Render Experiences and Jeff Calais, he often talks about student experiences and student stories. And your brand of the university is really best told and expressed through the eyes of your students. And as much as we on the marketing side and the admissions side try to take those stories and then put them into marketing speak, it's still a little different. It comes off different. And so by allowing your students to connect one-on-one and to answer it in the way that they want to answer it, it's more authentic. And we know that this age of current students, they cut through the BS, let's be honest. And so being authentic as possible and allowing your current students to talk and share the brand is of the utmost importance, and we truly believe that at Unibuddy. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it over to Laura and Evelina, and they're going to share kind of what they're hearing on their side, how their students are interacting, and they're going to share some stories from their end. So Laura, Evelina, take it away. Thank you all so much for listening to me.
Great. So just some background on St. Peter's University. So we are a smaller liberal arts university in Jersey City, so just outside of New York. And we have about just over 3,200 students enrolled. So our recruitment focus just typically is with first generation students. And so we're looking for a way to connect with these students more directly. Emails are fantastic, but I think, as we've been saying, they're looking for authentic communication, especially from a student who's gone through this process before, who went through it for themselves for the first time and can speak to what that looks like and what it's like at St. Peter's. So we typically have been using traditional methods of recruitment, so your fairs, billboards, mailings, and all of that, but we wanted to meet students where they were in a digital space.
So as Laura mentioned, our primary focus has been first generation students who are going through this process pretty much on their own. And we wanted to connect with them where they are in the means that they prefer, which is a chat-like platform. We have all seen the shift on how these students communicate, and they want instant information. They don't want to wait. Since its inception, we've had 980 plus questions answered on the Unibuddy platform. Most of the questions have been admission related. Our buddies do get a lot of questions related to campus life and campus activities. Our prospective students are very interested in what our students do during the weekend. And they want to make sure that there's fun things for them to do.
So since we've started, we've been able, as Evelina said, chat with over 900 students, or have 900 chats going, but over 170 students in a variety of countries as well. So that's been great. I think it's been a cool tool to use for these international students, because as much as we can sell St. Peter's and say it's great, it's different when you're packing your bag and going to some place that you may have never been to before. So being able to talk to someone also who's done that has been invaluable.
So these are our ambassador stats. We currently have 15 student ambassadors. We selected our students from a group of university ambassadors just because they have the training and the knowledge to speak about the university. We have 10 majors or courses represented on the platform. This is a small sample of the top majors at our institution. So we have 28 staff members on the platform. This list grew since the beginning of the pandemic. We originally onboarded just admission and financial aid counselors, but as things have shifted, we have seen a need to bring on other university partners.
So I think that's really cool about the platform is that students can create their own content in blogs. So a few of our students get really excited and like to tell people about what they're doing on campus as well as what they're doing off campus. So what their internships look like, what's going on in different clubs, and how they spend their time outside the classroom.
So this is what our website looks like. As you can see on the lower right-hand corner, that is the Unibuddy chat bubble. If anyone visits our site, they can click on the bubble and they get the option to either speak to our students or our staff.
And here is an example of some of our students. So as Evelina said earlier, we started with our student ambassadors who are already trained. And so we've since identified other students who we think are little rock stars. And so we've brought them on. And what's been great is that there's been no hesitation. It's just, okay, this is what I'm already doing anyway in person. It's just a way to do it online.
So this is a sample of our staff profiles. These are our two counselors. As I mentioned previously, we onboarded our admission and financial aid counselors first, and now we have expanded to other departments on campus. For our staff, Unibuddy is a great resource to connect with students in a way that was not possible before.
So for us, we primarily have been promoting the platform within our website. So putting that chat bubble on those high traffic pages. So the home page, about page, admissions, etc. And then also on what we would call our coronavirus related pages. So if a student does have a question and maybe they can't quite find it, just trying to direct them and making their experience as easy as possible. We've also been doing different posts on social media as well as linking to our Instagram bio. So the same idea of meeting students where they are in the right space. And then also we've been incorporating it on a few of our marketing emails, just so once again, if someone has a question or they just want to get in and out, there's a way to do that.
To add to what Laura said, we use different channels to promote Unibuddy. At the top of the slide, this is just a simple message on our website that encourages students to chat with us. On the bottom, we see clips from our Instagram account. Laura and our admission staff created a very fun video using the Friends theme song to let students know that we are still here for them and they can chat live with us through the Unibuddy platform.
So we are very excited. So today is actually our first Unibuddy Live event. So Evelina and I have been knee deep in Unibuddy for the past week. So we're using it primarily at this point for support for some of our larger campus events. So the event we have today is kind of a follow-up to our Accepted Student Day. So if you missed that event, or if you have additional questions, what have you, you can log on today and speak with some of our counselors as well as current students and different staff members across the university. As for what's coming next, we're looking at open houses, seeing how we can take the skeleton we've created today and then move it forward for these other events. Also, same with department chats. So let's say the School of Business wants to connect with their students using Unibuddy Live to kind of create this environment for them. And also just to do general info sessions over the summer. We, as everybody is in the same boat, we don't quite know what's going to happen with the virus. So trying to use the tools we have the best we can and to reach our students.
Key learnings and surprises. So for us, implementing the Unibuddy platform and recruiting students has been a very smooth process. It's been very easy for us to recruit our students and ambassadors. Many of them have volunteered. We haven't had to use any incentives. Our students just love to share their experiences at St. Peter's. They love to kind of guide prospective students through the process. For our staff, again, they love connecting with students on a more personal level. So that has been great. Laura and I, as the administrators for the platform, realize that it doesn't take much time to manage. The platform itself is very user-friendly. The dashboard is very clean and easy to navigate. And the third and last thing, our customer service at Unibuddy has gone above and beyond expectations. So shout out to Amy and team who have been there through the entire process, providing support and answering all our questions, no matter the time of day. So we are very appreciative of them.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, Amy might end up being my emergency contact because we speak so frequently. So I really appreciate that. So we're still in our first year, so we don't quite have the exact facts and figures, but it's been really great to see the campus come together and get excited about this program. Nearly all our departments have representation on Unibuddy, and all have been excited on how they can use it. Is there a lab event that we could create for them? Is it just putting a chat bubble on a couple of their web pages? So that's been really just, it feels nice. And also our counselors have been able to engage with students on a more personal level. I think Gen Z has this hesitation to answer to an email. It almost feels too formal. So being able to, so that they can just go on their phone, say, hey, Anthony, I just want to know, did you get my transcript, this, that, the other thing, and just getting a, yep, simple, to the point, and they're in and out and have a great customer service experience from us. Then also, this has been really helpful, like I said earlier, with international students. We can sell all day long on how easy that transition is, but the fact of the matter is I have never packed my bags and moved to a different university in another country, but some of our students have, so that's been really valuable as well.
So this is what a conversation looks like between our buddies and prospective students. As you can see, the engagement, we've been surprised by the things we've seen on the chat. These students are able to make a difference in the lives of prospective students. And for us, it's been great to see what these students really care about. So it's been exciting overall, and it's been a very positive experience for everyone.
It's also really cool, just to tag on, as an administrator, some of our students are bilingual. So we see in the dashboard, a conversation will start in English and then all of a sudden it's all in Spanish. So for students to be able to connect on that level and that they feel comfortable enough to do that has been really, really interesting to watch. So prior to coronavirus, we were seeing probably about an average of 6 or so prospects coming in a week. This screenshot was taken at the beginning of the week, so I promise we didn't drop all the way like that. But we've seen probably on average now about 14 coming in every week. So people are definitely taking notice and making use of these virtual tools that we've made available for them.
Okay, so we talk about, they said, Laura mentioned prospects coming in and chatting, and that we mentioned there's this one-to-one chat, and you saw that, student A can chat with student B, and they can continue that, but we also can do one-to-many. So we talk about what's next for Unibuddy. Right now, there is a current live chat feature, so you have the ability to set a kind of an admitted student event, and you may want to segment the market, for different majors at different times. But in essence, you can have faculty, staff, and students on an admitted student event, let's say, and students can chat, and everybody can see the responses. Everybody can see the answers, and you can set up different channels, different live feeds. So on the left-hand side of this screen that you see, think of it as, if you host an open house, or, each the ROTC has a table, Residence Life has a table. Well, you can man or staff those channels with individual faculty and individual students in each of those channels to answer questions as a live chat. The other piece that's coming soon, we're testing it out. Tomorrow is a pretty big test for us with live video feed as part of this. So someone would be able to present, whether that's a welcome message or individual students answering questions, and you can set up your entire event around kind of a live stream and live chat happening at the same time. So really excited about that and the products of Unibuddy moving forward.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. And a huge thank you, Laura and Evelina, just for sharing your experiences, in the same way that at a university, really it's the prospects and the ambassadors that can give the truest insights. I think having you guys here and just sharing how you found it so far has been really enlightening and useful. So thank you for sharing your experiences. I'm going to actually draw a bit on your experiences in this final slide from me, which is about the implementation. I know Jeff mentioned at the beginning, that's not our favorite word, about the onboarding experience, shall we say, for UniBuddy.
There we go, yeah.
Because again, the platform itself is designed to be incredibly clean and simple and easy to use, very intuitive. And that's really a principle that we build the company around. And it really applies to all of our processes and the way that we operate. And so the onboarding process is something that is managed by my team and supported by me and my team of customer success managers. And I want to, on my side first, give you assurances that it's incredibly quick and easy. I used to work in higher ed, and I know and I remember many of the projects that we took on that required 15 steering groups and 15 management meetings and votes, and then secondary votes, and then sometimes they were halted halfway through the final steering meeting. And really, this is something that should take you, and doesn't really tend to take longer than 1 to 2 weeks. And it can be split into 3 really simple segments or parts of the process. The first one is to kind of select your ambassadors, and we then provide the ambassador training, so live ambassador training webinars. We provide all the materials, not only to support and kind of train, but also to recruit and identify which students you would like to use. The second stage is literally just inviting your students to your platform, which takes a couple of minutes. And then the final stage is just dropping the code snippet. Well, this is essentially the piece of code that the platform uses onto the relevant parts of your website, and then you're ready to go live. So at this point, I'd love to tie in Laura and Evelina just to share a bit about your onboarding experience and how you found it. What was that process like?
I guess I'll start. It was really easy, surprisingly easy, actually. So I think the only thing that took the longest was just having our web person drop the code. So everything was ready to go, and we just needed him to just click go. As far as selecting the ambassadors, we just went with our student ambassadors. So I think I saw a question in there earlier. Our student ambassadors are not paid, so we just picked the ones who were the most excited to start. Also, so they could kind of set the example. So as we brought in more students, everybody kind of knew what was going on. And then getting it, like I said, getting it on the website, like once you pop the code in there, it immediately appears and it functions easily. We've never had any issues with that.
And also to bring on people onto the platform, Laura and I have been doing trainings for the past 2 weeks, and it's been very smooth. We haven't had any obstacles. It's very simple to kind of guide people through the setup process of their accounts. And once they have a picture, a brief description of their role, they could sign up and we could activate them on the platform. So it's been very, very easy.
Awesome. And I have a question, actually. I'm sure maybe lots of people are thinking this who are in the webinar today. How has it been onboarding all of your colleagues and staff members onto the platform? Because you guys have a really impressive selection of staff, and I know that they represent a wide range of teams and departments at the university. How has that been for you, that kind of experience?
It's been actually really good, surprisingly. I think everybody understands that, especially now, we have to be virtual. So as much as maybe some people have that hesitation that they would prefer to call students or send an email, which emails are fine right now, but this is just another way to reach that because some of our other options just aren't available. We can't have people on campus right now, and this is the next best thing. So everyone understands that, but we've been very impressed. We onboarded someone who was a bit older and less tech savvy yesterday, and they got it and they're up and they're running. So we were very excited about that.
Amazing. Well, that's always good to know.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. I'm just going to, if my mouse works. Okay, I thought I would get away from doing this without messing it up this time, but turns out at the last few slides I've done that thing where I speed through them all at once. So apologies, everyone. I'm going to mute myself and let Jeff take this one.
So, two questions often get asked when I demo Unibuddy for people. And the first one is, can staff and faculty monitor the chats that are happening? And the answer is yes. You get to see the chats that come in, and you get to monitor how those are playing out. The second one, of course, is price. How much? We all want to get to the bottom line. And the answer, like everything in higher ed, right? It depends. Pricing begins at $7K. And that's kind of for kind of some of the basic features. It really depends on enrollment. Multiple platforms. We have some institutions that utilize it for international, and they keep that separate from domestic recruitment. We have some larger universities that may use it for, the College of Engineering or the College of Business, and then they have a separate kind of platform for, undergrad admissions and a separate for graduate admissions. So all of those things, work together to help us determine a price for you all. And I think the best thing to do is just let us know. We could have a conversation about what would be best for your university and how you'd want to set that up. So we do make some price adjustments. Obviously, the more features or the more departments, and we work with you on that. So please feel free to shoot me a message. My email is below there, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you all have in regards to pricing and take a deeper dive into the product. I know we showed you some high-level things here, but we can talk about your university and your specific needs and how you would use it. Frankly, prior to this call, I was on the phone with the university in California talking about orientation, and they're taking their orientation event completely online. And so, this is a perfect opportunity for them to link their orientation leaders with their admitted students to develop that relationship, but also have staff and faculty there for advising. So lots of different ways and out of the box thinking in terms of utilizing this. So I'm happy to help you and talk through that with you all for that. So yes, that's what pricing looks like. So feel free to shoot me a message.
Cool. Hey, Jeff. I'm going to start with you. We just got a question from Joseph. He said, can you talk a bit about how and if you plan to use Unibuddy in your onboarding process for new students in the fall? So you were just talking about orientation. So if you want to take that one and go ahead.
Yeah, so the orientation department that I spoke with, they're really keen on the idea of the live chat and limiting that to a smaller group of students and not just opening it up. They're a larger institution, let me first say that, and where they have 1,500 freshmen coming in the fall. So, but they're limiting to each session to smaller groups of students so that each group based on major can have conversations with the faculty advisor about which classes they need to register for. So then when they have their calls set up with the registrar's office, that they'll get a schedule that the advisor kind of already approved. And so they set up the channels and chats based on major so they can have those conversations. The other piece too was kind of orientation. As we think about orientation, what typically is involved in that, and you have parents as part of that process as well. So we're inviting parents, or they're inviting parents rather, to those chats. But safety and security, the security department has a session that they'll present. Again, housing has a session they'll present. Financial aid will be there in terms of one of the channels on the side that we mentioned earlier to answer questions that may be lingering in regards to financial aid. Obviously we know there's some sensitive natures about that. So they're providing email addresses where they can then chat directly one-to-one. But it's a great way, again, to connect that one-to-one through the staff feature that St. Peter showed or talked about, but also utilizing that live event. So I hope that answered your question, and happy to share with you more on a one-to-one basis.
Cool. Thanks, Jeff. And then we had another question from Olivia that Evelina answered. I'm not sure if you want to talk more about how exactly you guys promote your live event there at St. Peter's.
Sure. So we went the conventional way. We started promoting through emails. We used a query of our accepted students. So those emails started about a week ago. We followed those up with text messages. We delivered a reminder text about 2 days ago. We have 2 text messages going out today. One should have gone out already, kind of just getting them excited about the event. And they will receive another one around 4 o'clock, letting them know that the event is now live. Laura actually just also dropped the link on our Instagram account and posted a nice little message to get them excited and to let them know that this is happening.
One real thing, I just piggyback on that, and if anybody follows Brad Ward with Blue Fuego here in the U.S., he did actually posted a really cool article on Twitter the other day about promoting live events and virtual events. And he says if you send out a text message, whether that's through Slade or another, Tell My Cell or Mongoose, whomever, and you send out a text message literally 5 minutes before an event starts, you get the highest number of signups in that just 5 minutes versus a week leading up to the event. So it's a great way to kind of push that out really quickly because they'll jump on. Oh, let me jump on real quick. So just a thought share for you.
Cool, thanks so much. And then another question for St. Peter's. Do the staff buddies get different questions than your student ambassadors?
I'd say they get a little bit more into the nitty gritty. So rather than what even what scholarships are available is still a very specific question I find for our students. But when we get into especially financial aid and admissions, it's very personal. My application, my stuff, and going in depth in that way. Yeah, I'd just say more technical. The students get the fun stuff, but.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. And then a question for Amy. What support is provided to current partners, and is there a chance for them to network with each other?
That's a really good question. So in short, the answer is yes, we provide lots of different types of support to our partners. And maybe Evelina and Laura can kind of share some of the resources and the stuff that we've worked on them with. But the support that we offer, it starts with the onboarding, as I mentioned earlier, really guiding a university through that process, helping them wherever necessary. It is a very easy, straightforward process, but we have created lots of best practice materials and guides and videos and tutorials to really help universities make the most of the product, and also to help them identify students. For some universities, they haven't got an existing student ambassador program, so we help them build that out. We help them find the first students and put them on their platform and take them online. And then when a university goes live, we're in fairly regular contact and available as and whenever we're needed. And really, this can be on an ad hoc basis, but also we have fairly regular scheduled meetings to review engagement, to review the analytics on the platform, to identify areas where we can help universities try new products. Maybe that could be live events, maybe it's staff profiles, maybe it's different traffic driving features to help them really boost and engage with a maximum number of students. And then I can't remember the second part of your question, Victoria. So if you could remind me, that would be really useful.
Hold on, let me just pull it up really quick. It was about networking for partners with each other.
Oh, great question. Yes. So in short, the answer to that is also yes. So we have created, using our live events platform, a series of partner networking sessions, and these run on a weekly basis. In fact, we just had one today that Jeff and myself were both involved in. And the aim of these events is to bring partners together, to share best practice, to support one another, and also just to share ideas. We recognize that at the moment, this is something that's even more kind of valuable and important as everyone is trying to kind of find their way through this strange time. I mean, not just in work, but also in just general life. And, from an admissions perspective, there's a lot of challenges that this poses. So we've created these events around a series of themes, all of which obviously relate to the admission space and higher ed space. The one we had today was about supporting and reassuring prospects. And we had universities from all around the world that use Unibuddy coming together, sharing ideas and materials as well. So that's just the beginning of what we anticipate will be a much larger project to create permanent forums and spaces for our Unibuddy community to come together.
Cool, thanks so much, Amy. So that's all the questions that we have, unless any more come through in the next few minutes or so. But St. Peter's, thank you guys so much for joining. And if anyone has any questions after the webinar ends, make sure to get in touch with Jeff.
Awesome. Thank you everyone so much for joining us. The sun is finally set where I am, so my face is a little bit less strange and alarming. But yeah, just to repeat what Vic said, thank you so much, St. Peter's, for sharing your experiences. And I hope that everyone on the webinar today found it useful and a useful insight to understand how you guys are innovating and trying new things in the space as well. I'm sure that Jeff and us will be following up afterwards.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having us.
Of
Yeah,
course.
thank you. Been
I would
great.
say everyone have a great weekend when it comes. I'm sure it will still be great, but perhaps a bit more creative and spent sensibly indoors wherever you are. So have a great, sensible indoor weekend, everybody.